Hello students, today we are going to discuss the most important topic from our biology, that is the inheritance and variation. If we see the old syllabus, in old syllabus the name of this topic is genetic basis of inheritance, but in new syllabus there is the name is inheritance and variation, and there is addition of some extra points. So we have to study the inheritance and variation. First of all, we have to start with the basic points related with the genetics. Now first of all, what is meant by genetics? Genetics is the branch of biology. Genetics is the branch of biology which deals with the study of heredity and variations. The branch of biology which deals with the study of heredity and variations. This genetics, the term genetics is derived from the word which is termed as genesis. Now we have to see what is meant by heredity and variations. Heredity is the transmission of characters. It is the transmission of characters from one generation to the next, or from parents to their offspring. Okay, heredity is the transmission of characters from one generation to the next generation, or from parents to their offspring. And variations are the visible differences observed in parents and offsprings, as well as offsprings of the same parents and individuals of the same species. Okay. In this topic, we have to study the details about genetics, then the brief history about the father of genetics, that is Gregor John Mendel, then the experiments carried out by Mendel, the study material or experimental material used by Mendel, and so on. So we have to study the genetic terminology, basic terms utilized in the study of genetics. First term is character. Now what is character? We know about feature film. In feature film there is character. There are various characters. Similarly, character is the feature of an organism or of an individual. Character is the feature of an organism or an individual. Example. Suppose there is one plant, any plant, then height of the plant. Height is the character. Similarly, color is the character. Shape of the seed is the character. Okay, character is the feature of an organism. Then second term is trait. Now what is trait? Trait is the inheritable and detectable variant of a character. It is inheritable and detectable variant of a character. Suppose height of stem is the character. Then there is present of two alternative forms of this character, that is tall plants and dwarf plants. Okay, understand? Character is the feature, while the trait is the detectable and inheritable variant of this character. Height is the character, and the tall and dark are the traits of that character. Now, the next term is factor. This term, factor, was first used by Mendel while studying the genetics in pea plant. Now, what is factor? Actually, this factor is unit of, it is the unit of heredity. It is the unit of heredity. Factor is the unit of heredity, and it is responsible for the transmission of characters from one generation to the next generation. We have studied heredity. What is heredity? The transmission of characters from one generation to the next. And what is factor? It is the unit of heredity which is responsible for transmission of characters from one generation to the next generation. This factor is also termed as determiner. Factor is also termed as determiner. Okay, character, trait, factor, and now the most important term, that is the gene. Now, according to Mendel, in pea plant, the characters are controlled by factor, but now we know that this factor is actually gene. Factor is actually gene. And now what is gene? Gene is a particular, it is a particular segment of DNA which is responsible for inheritance and expression of a particular character. Okay. This term gene was used by scientist Johnson. Now, for each and every character, there is presence of one gene, and this gene occurs in alternative forms, which are termed as alleles. Now, what are alleles? The alleles are two or more alternative forms of a gene. Two or more alternative forms of a gene present on same locus. It is important. Present on same locus on homologous chromosomes. On homologous chromosomes. So what are alleles? Alleles are two or more alternative forms of a gene present on same locus on homologous chromosomes. These alleles, the term allele is also termed as allelomorphs. Alleles are allelomorphs. Okay. Alleles, two or more alternative forms of a gene present on same locus on homologous chromosomes. Now, what are homologous chromosomes? In 11th class, we have studied the homologous chromosomes. Now, what are homologous chromosomes? The genetically and morphologically similar chromosomes. What is genetically and morphologically similar chromosomes present in diploid cell of an organism are called homologous chromosomes. Suppose there is one diploid cell and there is presence of various chromosomes, and out of these chromosomes, two chromosomes are similar like this. These chromosomes are morphologically similar as well as genetically similar. That means the genes present on these chromosomes are same. That is, they control the similar characters. Okay. Now what are alleles? Alleles are the two or more alternative forms of a gene present on same locus on homologous chromosomes. Suppose here is one gene, here is one gene. It controls height of the plant. It also controls height of the plant. Okay. Alleles are allelomorphs and homologous chromosomes. Now the next term is dominant, and similar term is recessive. What is dominant and what is recessive? In next periods, in next details, we have to study about the various crosses carried out by Mendel in detail. But to understand what is dominant and what is recessive, we have to take one example. Suppose there are two plants. One plant is tall and another plant is dwarf. Two plants, tall plant and dwarf plant. When these two plants are crossed, then in F1 generation, there is formation of or the production of all tall plants. In F1 generation, there is formation of all tall plants. Now, we come to dominant. Dominant is the character which appears in F1 generation is called dominant. Okay, or it can be defined in another way. Suppose this tallness character is controlled by capital T, and it is controlled by small t and small t. In F1 generation, the genotype of these plants is capital T and small t. Okay. Now, the dominant is the allele. Which express even in presence of its alternative allele. Understand carefully. Okay. What I mean? The allele which express its trait even in presence of its alternative allele. Now which condition? This condition is termed as heterozygous. Okay, see here. Here genotype is capital T. Here genotype is capital T small t. That means this character, which character or which allele? Dominant character or dominant allele express in both conditions. Which conditions? Homozygous condition as well as heterozygous condition. The allele which express its trait even in presence of alternative allele, then it is termed as dominant. Now the recessive. Okay. Here we taken two plants. One plant is tall and one plant is dwarf. But in F1 generation, there is no appearance of dwarfness. Okay. Darkness trait is not appear in F1 generation. That means the character which gets suppressed in F1 generation is termed as recessive. Okay. Dominant, the character which appears in F1 generation. Recessive, the character which gets suppressed in F1 generation. Similarly, in another language, in another term, the allele or the character which express only in homozygous condition, or the allele which do not express its trait in presence of its alternative allele, then it is termed as recessive character or recessive allele. Okay. Simply, what is simple term? Dominant, the character which appears in F1 generation. Recessive, the character which does not appears in F1 generation. Okay. Or allele, The allele which express its trait in F1 generation is called dominant allele, while the allele which gets suppressed in F1 generation is called recessive allele. Okay, again simply, in another language, the allele which express its trait in both conditions, that is homozygous as well as in heterozygous, is always dominant, while the allele which express its trait only in homozygous condition is recessive. Okay, we have studied character, trait, factor, gene, alleles, then dominant and recessive. Then another two terms, important terms, that is the phenotype and genotype. Phenotype means two terms. Phenotype means external appearance of an individual. Related to any character. Phenotype is the external appearance of an individual. Example, suppose height of the plant, color of seed, shape of seed. Now what is this? It is the external appearance. How this animal or an individual appears externally. Now this phenotype, any external character is controlled by genotype. Okay, understand? Phenotype is always controlled by genotype. And what is genotype? It is genetic constitution or genetic makeup of an individual. Example, phenotype is height of the plant, and this height character is controlled by genotype. And which genotype? Suppose height of the plant is tall plants. Okay, tall plants or tallness is controlled by capital T or capital T small t. Actually, it is the representation of the genotype, genetic makeup. It is homozygous, it is heterozygous. Or suppose dark plants, it is represented by small t. Okay, phenotype is the external appearance, while genotype is the genetic constitution or genetic makeup of an individual. Height of the plant, that is the tall plants, controlled by homozygous condition or heterozygous condition, genotype, and darkness is controlled by small t. Now, important point is phenotype is controlled by genotype, and this genotype can be changed. This genotype can be changed due to environmental factors. It can be changed. Okay. While the phenotype is the combination of genotype and phenotype. Okay. Phenotype, genotype. Then Mendel carried out various experiments on the pea plant, and he represented his results, his conclusions in the form of mathematical expression. Two important terms are used. Number one is phenotypic ratio, and second term is genotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio. Now first one is the phenotypic ratio. It is the ratio of an individual's obtained in any cross. It may be F1 generation or F2 generation on the basis of phenotype. On the basis of phenotype. We know phenotype. What is phenotype? We have studied earlier. Phenotype is the external appearance. The ratio of an individuals of any cross on the basis of phenotype is termed as phenotypic ratio. Similarly, on the basis of genotype is termed as genotypic ratio. We have to study detail about the various ratios obtained in Mendelian crosses. Okay, so it is about the genetic terms or genetic terminology used in the study of inheritance and variation. Now, the question is, which study material, which experimental material was used by Mendel? So, Mendel carried out experiments by using one plant, and the name of plant is Pisum sativum. Okay. Common name is the garden pea plant. Now, question is, why did Mendel selected these pea plants for his experiments? Okay, what is question? Why did Mendel selected pea plant for his experiment? Now, this pea plant or Pisum sativum plant is not too small or too large, and hence it is easy to handle. Easy to handle and easy to cultivate. Easy to handle and easy to cultivate. The second one is it has short lifespan. It has short lifespan. That is, it completes its life cycle in few months. That is the 3 to 4 months. Now, what is the advantage of this character? Advantage is we can study 3 to 4 generation in 1 year. Okay. Now, next one is it shows easily observable pair of contrasting characters. It shows easily observable pair of contrasting characters. In old syllabus, there is detail about this pea plant. Then question is also asked in examination. This question is, why did Mendel select pea plant? But in new syllabus, there is no such description given. But we have to know why Mendel selected pea plant. Now, another important feature of this plant, that is pea plant, is it shows easily observable pair of contrasting characters. Okay, last point. We have to study these characters. Mendel studied 7 pairs of contrasting traits in pea plant. And then studied 7 pairs of contrasting traits in pea plant. Now, which are those characters? Number 1, height of stem. Height of stem. It occurs in 2 forms, like dominant and recessive. Okay. Now height of stem, tall plants, which is represented by capital T, or simply capital T, and dwarf plants, small t. Okay. Another character is color of seed. Here, yellow color seeds and green color seeds. Yellow and green. Then next one is shape of seed. Shape of seed such as round seeds represented by capital R, and wrinkled seeds represented by small r. Okay. Height of stem, color of seed, shape of seed, then color of pod, two alternative forms, that is green represented by capital G and yellow small g. Okay, color of pod. Then next one is shape of pod, two forms, that is inflated I and constricted small r. Okay. Height of stem, color of seed, shape of seed, color of pod, shape of pod. Then next one is the color of flower. Okay. Violet and white. And last one is position of flower, that is axial flowers and terminal flowers. Okay, these are the 7 pairs of contrasting traits studied by Mendel in pea plants. Which are these characters? Height of stem, color of seed, shape of seed, color of pod, shape of pod, color of flower, and position of flower. Position of flower. In board examination, there is one question. Enlist the characters or enlist the pairs of contrasting traits studied by Mendel in pea plant. Okay. Now, in this topic, in this lecture, we have studied the basic of genetics. Genetics, then terminology used in genetics. Okay, and characteristics of pea plant. Okay, in next topic, in next lecture, we have to study detail about genetics. Thank you.